This episode is brought to you by SwitchPod, which is a handheld minimal tripod that I co-invented with my partner Pat Flynn, and we created it so it'd be really easy to hold your camera and film yourself or other people, and then quickly open up the legs of the tripod, set the camera down, and be on your way. So check it out at switchpod.co. And you can use the coupon code Caleb to save $5 off your purchase. That's CALEB. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of my podcast. I'm here with Sean McCabe of SeanWes.com. I've been following Sean for, probably like 4 or 5 years now online. Got to know him in person through a mastermind group we've had. So Sean and I have had a lot of conversations about running businesses through the ups and the downs over the years. I've learned a ton from Sean about scarcity mindset and how content is really important in growing your business, as well as how to launch products and differentiate yourself, and just a lot of different things that Sean has talked about on his different podcast episodes. I feel like are like mantras in my head. So thank you, Sean, for doing that. But let's get into your backstory. How did you get started with going from high school into immediately like running businesses and growing them?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me.
Of course.
I'm excited to be here. So I did actually start pursuing a computer science degree. I got like 20% of the way in, but I had a couple of businesses that were doing well at the time, so I just kind of decided to forego that.
What's like a full-time salary you would have made at the end of college anyways, basically?
Yeah, just making good money. I was repairing computers. I had been in a band. We did that kind of full-time for a while until the income wasn't so full-time. We're like, we need to figure something out here. So we all kind of, that kick-started our entrepreneurial journeys. We all kind of went our separate ways. For me, that was computer repair. I was always into computers. I didn't know exactly what I would do with computers. There was a lot there, but I dabbled a little bit in programming, which is actually the direction my dad wanted me to go because he's a programmer, database administrator. But I wasn't really into that so much. I started building websites, getting into Photoshop and making designs for people on forums, and just learning how to fix and build computers. And there was this like kind of like older, a lot of retired people community near where we lived, and they just had a bunch of Windows computers that were always getting viruses and having problems and stuff. And somehow I ended up in their newsletter, and they just kept recommending me over and over to where that one community was like a full-time job. Then more people started saying like, hey, could you do work for my business? Because a lot of them owned businesses. Then they asked if I could update their website. And I just kind of kept saying yes to everything and figuring it out as I went.
I think early on that's important to do when you're just starting your business or you're just like freelancing and you take any amount of money to do any kind of work with people. That's just, you just need experience and you need cash flow at that point. So I think that's, you just whatever. Yeah, I can do that. Like whatever they ask.
Yeah, just like, yes.
And then you go Google it.
Sure, right. I was basically everyone's full-time Googler. That's all I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was going really well. But even though I had a lot of computer repair clients, I really enjoyed the web design stuff because that was more creative for me. I really liked the design element. And I started getting more and more work there to where I was turning most things down. And I thought, I should kind of scale this part up because I'm actually enjoying it more. And so I brought on a partner. He was a developer, my friend at a local web firm. He was kind of underpaid. I'm like, let's do this together. Let's do our own thing. And so we started a firm and ended up doing that for a few years. And in my nights and weekends, while I wasn't spending time building websites and stuff, I got into hand lettering.
So it was just kind of a hobby at first, doing hand lettering, doing it on the side.
Totally.
And was it that your business wasn't fun and that's why you did hand lettering? Or was it you just kind of needed an outlet, you had some free time? And
I think it's the outlet thing. Like throughout my life, there's just been this theme of overlapping from one thing to the next where I've got something that's paying the bills, but then on the side, I'm scratching that creative itch, like some kind of creative outlet for me. And it wasn't until someone I met at a coffee shop who I looked up to, I followed him online. So he's creating content and stuff, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And I'm really into it. And he said he was coming to San Antonio, which is where I lived. And we got coffee together. And it's so silly when I look back because it was like he gave me permission to just create. I don't know why I needed that, but so many people just need that.
Yeah, and you had a meetup here in San Diego a few days ago that I went to, and a girl there said she writes herself permission slips. And I was like, that is amazing, because when you're your own boss or you're trying to like make yourself do something, like giving yourself permission as opposed to getting out of your head, I think is a really strong metaphor. So the fact that she wrote permission slips and signed them, said like, I give you permission to take the day off or to try this project, even if it doesn't work. I really like that.
I think that's genius.
Yeah.
I needed someone outside of me to give me that permission, but he said, if you enjoy lettering, just create, just do it. And for some reason I thought whatever I had to do had to be something that I could turn into a full-time job, something that would give me enough money to survive off of. And hand lettering certainly wasn't it. I couldn't be a full-time hand letterer. That's crazy. And so I just put it off. I used to draw letters in middle school, like all the time, and I just put it off. But somehow he unlocked that for me. So I just started creating. I was just creating, making hand lettering, posting it online. When I look back, there was just a resurgent interest. Like searches for the term hand lettering went up like 1,000%. This is about a decade ago. And I didn't realize at the time, only looking back, that I was kind of in the middle of this, resurgence. And I was just creating. Every single day I would post new hand lettering.
Where?
Like I posted on my website.
Because there was not Instagram back then.
Well, there
was just started.
There was in 2011. I was posting on there.
Yeah.
But Twitter, my website, Dribble, a lot of design stuff on there. But yeah, just sharing every day. Nobody really noticed, but I wasn't doing it for the appreciation or people.
Fame, yeah.
Yeah. I just did it because I loved it. So I was just showing up every day for 2 years without people even noticing. And somewhere around the 2-year mark, I don't know what it is about 2 years, but people started noticing and paying attention and saying, hey, can I buy that on a t-shirt or a print? Or can you do a custom logo for me?
I have the print over there, show up every day. It doesn't say 2 years on it, but it's your print that says show up every day.
Yeah, like stuff like that, And I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. And I'm already making full-time money with the web firm. So whatever extra money I made from little commissions and logos and things like that, I just saved that up and then eventually invested that in doing my own products.
So you then took the hand lettering and you're like, how can I earn from this? So what products do you have now, and what products did you kind of try at first that maybe didn't work?
Well, at first I did prints, so posters and stuff, which I think was pretty good.
So you'd make like a couple hundred of them and then sell them that way? Okay.
Yeah, so make like, let's say I did 100, it might cost me $300 for screen prints.
Okay.
And then I could sell them for 10 or 15 or something like that. So the margin was really good.
And you had inventory in your house and you shipped them out of your garage and
Yeah, exactly. All that. Man, this was back in the day. I was doing everything through PayPal. Like there was a PayPal button on a page. I didn't have
very manual. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. That took a long time. Then we eventually got like a shipping fulfillment thing, and
I couldn't imagine sending the thousands of switch pods that we've had to send if let alone I had to send them. But there's enough back and forth with individual customers of, I typed this address wrong, or it came back from UPS and it was on your doorstep, you didn't get it. And like, so that not having a system on top of that, I can't imagine. I think even my wife bought me a print, and I think the wrong print got sent to me from you. And you were just like, I'm just going to send you the right one. Don't worry about the other one, because the cost of sending it back and like stuff happens, and it's just like.
The main thing there is just the customer experience.
Right.
So a simple mistake, like someone who's fulfilling the order takes 2 labels, puts it on the wrong package, swaps them.
Yeah.
And both people get the wrong thing, and they're not getting the thing that they wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
So I thought about it. I was like, could I have them mail this thing to the other person? And no matter how you slice it, it wasn't a good experience for them. You don't want to give them a chore after they already got the wrong thing, didn't get what they want. What they really want is going to be late. So what I usually do is just say, don't worry about it. Keep that. Give it to a friend. We're sending the right thing. It's on its way right now. Yeah. Also, here's a coupon or a discount on your next order. Yeah. Just go out of your way to take care of people.
What else have you learned selling physical products? Because you moved into digital eventually. So you did service, then physical products, then to digital. what else in that physical, having inventory, having different print runs, you have mugs and coasters and shirts, and like if you were to go back and do it or to launch it now, what would you do differently?
I really was going to go all in on physical products. Like I was going to have this, we had tons of shirts, all these different shirts. They were custom. We had mugs. We had, these laser cut wooden keychains. Like we were just going all in. I didn't realize like really how all in I would have to be to even make it something I could live off of by myself, let alone a team, let alone something bigger than that. Because the margins are just not great on physical products unless you go big volume.
Yeah.
Even if you're charging premium prices. The other thing is Amazon's kind of ruined people with its free shipping. And so people just really want free shipping.
Which just cuts right into the margin if you offer that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good idea to figure out a way to where you can make the shipping free, like work the price a little bit. But yeah, again, margins, right? And so digital is just way easier, way less overhead, way better margins. So for me, and I'm not saying like you can't go all in and make a physical product brand. You absolutely can. It's just a lot of work, like
Yeah.
For me, I see like physical products as a bonus, like ancillary to the digital empire, if you will. Like it's a way for people to feel like they can own and be a part of the brand. Like they have something tangible and it makes them smile. So I almost think of it like
you're gonna like make your living through like merch or physical products you make.
For me personally, no. Like I think of it as advertising that pays for itself. They see a t-shirt or a keychain and they think of me or they think of my brand.
Or like they go back and listen to your podcast because they remember it, or then they eventually buy your course or they come to your event.
Exactly. Which random note here, just real quick, it made me think of something on email marketing. A lot of people are obsessed about open rates and stuff. Here's something almost nobody considers. The fact that you send an email and they see your name in their inbox, even if they never open it, even if they immediately archive it. Like I see emails from you that you might look at my contact and see like, Sean never opened this, right? But I see it and then I think I'm going to go to his podcast. I'm going to go check out his website. So just impressions.
Yeah. And so what about the transition from physical products to digital? Was the hand lettering course your kind of first introduction to that through the blog post that got so much traffic that you didn't really know about? That's kind of what spurred it?
That was the transition. So I had this page that was like 10 introductory steps to lettering because I was getting so many emails, like probably 5 or 10 emails a day from people.
And you're like, I need to make a public thing that I can just link them to, basically.
Yes. I was like, I'm tired of answering the same questions. So I just made this page. I didn't know anything about like email marketing or opt-ins. So I just made this epically valuable page to try and solve my own problem. And the side effect was it got indexed in Google. It got spread on Pinterest, just like thousands, tens of thousands. So there's just tons of traffic coming to this page to where at one point it was just at the top, hand lettering at the top, lettering at the top. And so just tons of traffic coming.
Like hundreds of thousands a month?
Hundreds.
Or a year at least?
I think at the time, it was probably like a couple 100,000 in a year had seen it. So I was like, okay, there's a lot of interest here. I could definitely go deeper than just these 10 steps.
Did you have an opt-in form or anything on that page?
No, not at the time, which I'm just like kicking myself. Yeah. Oh my gosh, if I had 5%.
Yeah.
But I did eventually learn. I just like started listening to podcasts, learning about marketing online, and I turned that whole page, it was a very long page, I turned that into a PDF and then converted the existing page into an announcement for this course that was coming. So I said, hey, this course is coming. I'm going to teach you not just how to draw the art side, but also the business side. How do you talk to clients? How do you price your work? Learn about licensing, things like that.
Because you had also been doing service work for hand lettering at that point. Like
oh, yes.
City of Las Vegas.
I was doing I was making 6 figures as an artist just working with clients, aside from products and selling courses. Like I hadn't even, So I was working with big name clients and stuff. So I had a little bit of, credence to what I was saying. So I turned it into a guide and I said, this course is coming, sign up, I'll let you know. Also, I'll give you this 10-step guide. And so now I just changed that page where all the traffic was coming to into something that would actually convert into subscribers. And so over the course of like 6 months, I got like 15,000 subscribers, and I was making the course that whole time. So when I launched the course, I hoped I would make like a few $1,000s or something, but it made $100,000 within the first 3 days of launching it.
So that just kickstarted you into, okay, I need to do this more. I need to like make more hand lettering courses, or is it like, I want to teach what I learned from this, or what were kind of the next steps after that? Because like you found something that you liked doing for a hobby. You posted about it online enough that people started to see you as an expert in it. They started reaching out to you. You made a free resource because you were sick of answering their questions over email. And then you saw how much traffic. So it's like, you didn't start off being like, oh, I'm going to turn my hand lettering into this and go teach it. Like, it was a natural progression. So how did you go from your first hand lettering course into more of what the SeanWes brand is now?
Yeah. So at this time, around this time, I had also started the SeanWes podcast, which was twice a week back then. We're something like going on like 500 episodes now. So this was about 7 years ago, 7 years ago. And at the time, I was just sharing everything. I was sharing what I did to prepare for the launch, how the launch went, like breaking down all the numbers. Just here's what I'm learning as I go. And that's kind of the theme that I've carried, is just like iterate in public. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, right now I'm on a sabbatical year. I've taken off a whole year. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to document it and I'm going to share it.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the theme. And I started teaching lettering. I didn't expect this to turn into something that I could make a living from. I was thinking I'm going to go back to, you know, whatever, right? But I'm like, okay, I guess this is working. Maybe I should do more of what works.
And so what was your next step after the hand lettering course launch started going well? Then you share the behind the scenes of kind of what you did to launch it, and that kickstarted more of like talking about business, teaching people other skills like writing, and what some of your other courses were like pricing and that sort of thing. Yeah,
it's the business stuff that I realized a lot of creative professionals were missing. So they're really great at their art, but they were getting taken advantage of by these big companies. They're pushing them around. They're tweeting about it. They're complaining about how their clients are terrible.
Yeah,
and I'm
what's
like,
the website? Clients from Hell?
Clients from Hell. Yeah. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be this way. You can get paid really well to work with awesome clients, and you love your life, and they keep wanting to hire you. Like, this is real. I've done this. I can show you how to do this. And so again, I'm just like, I got to solve this problem. You know, I got to help people. So I started talking about client services. I started talking about pricing. And then I realized there were a lot of people who were kind of stuck in the middle of, well, I've got this job that I don't really like and this other creative pursuit that I want to do. I don't know how to make this happen. And so that was another problem I wanted to solve with the overlap book. How do you go from the thing paying the bills to the thing that you really want to do?
And so you've been listening to your audience this whole time. So it seems like each of your products, like your book, your courses, all that stuff is based on what people are complaining about or that you hear.
It is now, but at the time, like when I started writing that book, I got like 20,000 words in before I realized I'm just writing the book I wanted to write and not the book people need to read. Like, I was just, here's what I want to say. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, I realized that before I went to print with it. And so I scrapped that original draft and I just went back to the drawing board, and I spent the next 3 years having conversations with people like this, meetups, conferences, probably like 200, 300, 400 conversations with people in person. And I'm trying to learn, like, what do you want to accomplish? Where do you want to be? And what's keeping you stuck? And I went back to the drawing board and reverse engineer the book to first help people get unstuck, and then, okay, here's all the practical stuff. Like, here's the fastest way to make money. You know, here's how to diversify your sources of income. This is how to get clients and position yourself and like craft your elevator pitch and all the practical stuff.
What would you say to someone that's just kind of stuck or overwhelmed? I put out a video this week that's titled, You're Doing It Wrong. And it's like, it actually, the thought of it stemmed from going to your meetup where there were people starting out, beginners, or people just like stuck at a certain stage. And I felt like a lot of the questions they were asking either weren't the right questions or were just kind of roadblocks. So what would you say what would be your advice for someone that's like stuck or like they're about to be at the edge and like they don't want to jump or your parked car analogy that I actually mentioned in the video? Like,
yeah, you saw it at the meetup.
Yeah.
So, there was a guy, Johnny, and he's like, I don't know which to do first. I want to start making YouTube videos. I want to teach how to create on the iPad, but also I don't have a website yet, and I'm trying to build a website. And do I use this platform or this platform? And so, which do I do? Do I make videos first, or do I make the website?
And I said yes.
But he's just like, which one? Like he's so worried. Like he's so worried that he's gonna pick the wrong one, and that's how people feel. I've seen it so many times. They feel like they're in an office chair, spinning around 360 degrees, and they're like, there's all these directions I could go. I could go this way, I could go that way, I could go that way. And they're paralyzed because they don't want to pick the wrong one. What if I pick wrong and I start heading in the wrong direction? And they're scared because they haven't thought past that. Because what happens is, okay, you got 360 degrees of options around you. You're almost certainly going to pick, it's like roulette, Like you're almost certainly going to pick the wrong one.
Right.
I practically guarantee you're going to pick the wrong next thing. Great. Then you can course correct. You can't steer a parked car. You've got to get moving. And then you can drive, you can move, you can steer, it's that next wrong thing that's going to take you to the right thing. But you have to take the next imperfect step. And that's what scares people.
And I think that even people in that situation, you'll ask them about college or maybe a sport they played for 9 years when they were a kid. And it was like, how often do you go play baseball? Like, how many baseball camps did you go to growing up? What did you major in college? Do you even do that at all? No, like most of the time, no. It's like unrelated. But like those 4 years in the wrong direction was progress, and it brought you closer to what you wanted to do.
It led you to the thing. Yeah. Here, you met the person, they introduced you to the other thing. It's just.
Or you hated that thing so much it spurred you on to do the thing you wanted to do.
We want so badly for it to be a straight line, and it's just not a straight line.
But it's even at the stage I'm at, knowing the consequence of wasted time and choosing the wrong direction, I think still holds me back. Just like it holds people that are starting out back. So what do you do when you're trying to choose between multiple things to do next?
So what holds people back is either lack of motivation or fear and paralysis that they might do, the next thing they choose to do might be the wrong thing. And it's just realizing that that's not only not the end of the world, but it is in fact the process. Mm-hmm. The process is to do the next wrong thing. Like step one is head in the wrong direction. And then step two is course correct, right? That's the process. So you just haven't started the process. You have to start the process. So I want you to go make the wrong decision. Start heading in the wrong direction. Do things imperfectly. Put out the imperfect work with the flaws and everything. Make the video, publish it, post it, with the bad lighting, out of focus, with the bad audio, because it's going to make the next one better. Because you're going to realize, I don't like that, I don't like that. You're going to improve upon it, but you're not going to improve when you're just sitting here. It's like writing. I got to write the perfect first sentence. No, writing is a two-step process. Write, then edit. Even the best writers edit. Stephen King edits, right? They know the story is told in the edit. So the process is get the imperfect words out like a lump of clay on your desk and then shape it and mold it. But that raw material, those are your words. The raw material is your video, and then you come in, you chop it up, you edit it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've always heard that you make a movie 3 times. When you write the script and finalize the script, then when you film it, you're kind of like reworking stuff, a scene's not working. And then when you edit it, you're like, oh, that definitely didn't work. And sometimes you go back. If you're Disney, you do reshoots on Han Solo's movie or whatever. Because you're like, this does not work. We cannot fail. We'd delay this movie. We're going to go reshoot stuff. So sometimes you just scrap an entire 20,000 word book and you restart because it's not the right thing. for people online right now, there's so many people publishing things on the internet, from 6-second videos to ebooks and videos and everything. Do you think that content is oversaturated right now, or do you still think it's kind of like the thing you need to do to like join into the game for people to pay attention to you?
Content is the cost of entry. If you're not making content online, you just don't exist in people's minds. They're not aware of you. Content equals awareness. So you have to create content. Content is an enabler. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be an influencer. Hey, I'm with you. Like, I'm an introvert. I don't like going outside and,
Or like pulling your phone up to yourself.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
really
it's not my natural element. I want to sit in my beanbag and I want to scroll. I just want to like scroll and scroll and scroll. Like I'm with you, right?
Yeah.
I don't care about fame. Here's the thing though, content is an enabler. It's just like money. Money is an enabler of purpose. A lot of people think, oh, money is the root of all evil. Evil, if I can talk. And they're quoting the Bible, which they're actually misquoting because it's the love of money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't care. It doesn't think anything of you. It's just a number. It's just a multiplier. It's an enabler of purpose. Content is an enabler of purpose. Oh, I don't care. I don't want to get rich. I don't want to get famous. Okay, that's fine, but what do you care about? Is there a cause that you believe in? Whatever you want people to do, if it's like, if it's follow, if it's subscribe, if it's join, if it's none of those, if instead it's support, share, donate, contribute, any version of that is enabled by content.
So what does content give you? Like, what's the next step of putting out content? Is it audience? Is it trust? Like, what's the goal of doing it?
Content is
awareness, you said.
Yes, it's just awareness.
Yeah.
So like, okay, people know you exist. Great. Now, what do you have to say? And that can be paralyzing because it's like, I don't know what I have to say. And a lot of people wait to create until they know what they have to say. And really, they got it backwards. You want to create, you want to start writing before you even know what you have to say so you can find out what you have to say. So then you've got this message. You start sharing, like, this is what I'm about, and then people can get on board. They can support you. You can create a movement. You can create community. That's how, right now we don't have a house or a car or anything. We just we sold stuff, we moved out, and we're on this sabbatical year of nomadic travel. We're just going from city to city. I know the next place we're going to live tomorrow. After that, it's like, I don't know. But each city we go to, there's people there. They're coming to this meetup that we're doing because I've put out content. That's community. That's something incredible. Some of those people might buy your product. They might hire you. They might join your membership, and then you can actually do something that really fulfills you and make a living from it.
On that making a living part, what have you learned from years and years of just like launching different products, physical, digital, courses? What works the best for announcing whatever your big thing is you're going to charge people for, and then making money from it?
This is really timely because we're just launching something that I made last year called Pre-Sale Profits. And it's this course that I teach on how to get paid in advance to make your next digital product.
Did you pre-sell the pre-sale course?
I did. I did, in fact, pre-sell the pre-sale
down
course.
by the seashore. Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, you don't have to make something and then hope that people buy it. You can pre-sell it, and that validates it. The only way to validate is by getting people to swipe their credit card. Not to say that sounds cool, not to say I'd totally buy that. I mean, you don't really know.
It's not the same.
You don't know. Yeah. You don't know till they swipe their credit card. So the best way to validate is to sell something. And you can sell it before you even make it. So the worst case is you sell 2 and you think, I don't think it's really worth it. And you refund those people, right? But the best case is you get paid in advance, you've got the money, you've got less stress. Now you can just focus on creating something awesome and delivering it, right? And so I go through that process and stuff, but that's my favorite way. Like now, I don't want to ever have to put in all of the work up front to make something that I don't even know is going to sell.
Yeah, I mean, this hits home for me because I have a few online courses. I would announce a launch date, and I would make myself make the entire course before I launched, and then not do any pre-selling or anything like that. And you get sales, but I think if you work in private for a really long time, you think like, oh, everyone's going to love this thing. Everyone's going to know about it, but nobody knows anything about it. Even with SwitchPod, yes, we were trying to keep it secret for a while till we got like our patent and we were only sharing it privately. But once we did share it publicly, we tried to share as much as we could because we just wanted buzz. You want like people to know that it's coming.
Yeah.
And that was even before we pre-sold it on Kickstarter. So I don't know why I don't do this with my courses or other types of things. It's just like, working private. Oh, here it is, so.
And just to maybe address the elephant in the room, for some people wondering, why do you think I'm going to buy something when it doesn't exist? Well, you incentivize the purchase by giving an introductory rate or some bonuses and things like that. Go behind the scenes. We're going to share the journey. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of reasons why someone might want to buy early. Yeah. And they will if you give them a good offer.
Yeah, and for SwitchPod and Kickstarter, it was like, this is the lowest price it will ever be. And I'm like really strict about that right now because retailers will be like, or Amazon will be like, we can run a lightning deal and then it'll be $79. I'm like, it can't be $79. Like it was $79 on Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. Like the only time I think it could ever be that and I would be comfortable with it is if we have a version 2 and it's like the old version, like how like old iPhones get discounted when the new one comes out, like that sort of thing. Then it's not like, well, I paid this for it. And so I think incentivizing people on the pre-sale is good. I'm excited for this course.
It's good, man. It's good.
You've already kind of pre-sold me on it a little bit.
So here's the other brilliant part. So you get, So I taught, here's just like a side tangent. I've done the whole thing where I've made like 68 video lesson. You were doing something like that recently, weren't you? Was it with Pat?
With Pat, yeah.
Because like a big shoot.
Like 50 videos in a day kind of thing.
My record is 68.
Jeez.
So try harder next time. So I did this 68. Actually, there's a 72 lesson one I did, not in a day. But I've done the whole thing like 3-camera production, scripted, teleprompter, and like there's a time and a place for that. And totally, it's a good idea, especially, it's just a good idea. But I found that, I don't know, for me, I just come alive in the live classroom kind of a thing where I've got people in the chat, they can ask questions, it's real time, it's interactive. So I pre-sold the pre-sale profits class, and then I taught it live and recorded the whole thing. But people who bought the early version, they were there live, they could ask questions, interact with me, which just really enriched the material. And it just gave it like so much more depth and it's just really applicable because people are just, they're reading your mind because they're asking the questions that you're wondering, and I'm able to answer it right there. And so it just turns it into something that, for me, it's just way better than I could have scripted because it just includes real people's questions.
So when you launch it out of the preset, out of like beta into version 1.0,
so I was going to say on that,
re-record
on that, no.
Okay.
No, so that's the version. We chopped that up. What I did was I did a 4-week live class.
Okay.
So I had my curriculum and I've got like these modules and lessons and stuff, but we just chop it up, right? The cool thing is you got all these early access students because they wanted the good introductory offer. Well, I'll just spill the beans. Okay. So on the live class, we gave away some years of SeanWes membership, which like that gives people access to like $7,000 or $8,000 worth of our courses. Mm-hmm. And we said to enter, all you have to do is submit a form here with what you got out of this class. That's it. So we just got like dozens, and I don't know if there's like 50 or 100 or whatever, testimonials, like rich testimonials with photos, real names. People say, I give you permission to use this. We did the giveaway. We cut that out of the recorded material. And now we've just got tons of testimonials, and like they're real. People are just literally talking about what they got out of this class, what was awesome about it. So that works really well.
I did a live kind of coaching program last fall, winter. It was like an accelerator program with 5 or 6 other freelance video people. And it was 13 weeks long. Every call was anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. I charged $1,500 for people to join. So it was like about $100 per session. Recorded them all, including their faces and their questions and answers and stuff. And I've been trying to think about what I want to do with it. Because time-wise, I can't really commit to that. I can't commit to an hour and a half every week coaching people right now with a baby and the other businesses I'm juggling. But I've been trying to decide what to do with that. So those people that were in there asking questions, they knew up front that you were recording it. And I mean, these 5 people also knew that I was recording this, but I could get permission from them. Content's still the same. It's even, like you said, enriched by the fact that there are questions being asked. Because what I was thinking is, if I was going to do this again, I still think it's really helpful to have the one-on-one, like the live part. So maybe there's like 1 or 3 sessions where people can join me, but maybe I'll re-record the content based on what I did before. But like it's just like redoing it, and just so it looks nicer or like it's more concrete. Or
I'm inclined to say it's probably the perfectionist in you.
Yeah. So would you just discount the price because there's less one-on-one interaction for the next round? Or it's still like the same amount of information? And I'm getting live feedback right now for fun.
I probably wouldn't discount it. I'd get more creative with the packaging and like the positioning and bonuses and whatever else before I'd discount it.
Okay. New project for Tim and I to work on. I want to talk a little bit about failures or roadblocks, maybe as you and I have kind of grown our businesses over the years. What are some of the things that you kind of had to take a gut check on, or like rework how you think about something, or maybe just failures? Or
I got a lot.
I'm trying to get people to open up on this podcast. I'm trying to get them to not be all like rainbows and unicorns, because it's not that way at all.
No. Although I get I get critiqued for not sharing failures enough, and I'm like, look, I'm sharing all of them. I'm telling you all of them. Like I was a workaholic. I worked like 16-hour days, 7 days a week for 10 years. I didn't have friends. I thought I did. If you said, hey, do you have friends? I'd be like, yeah, I got friends. I'll give you a list. It's like half a dozen people. And then I realized they were all on payroll, except for my wife. And then I realized, no, actually, she's on payroll too. So
she's helping. Yeah.
Like, this is bad. What do I have? And I would just sit at a desk. I don't even have a standing desk like you do. I would just sit there and work. I didn't exercise. I didn't go outside. I just worked. It was bad. Like all of my 20s, didn't exercise or anything. My relationships had fallen to the wayside. Like somehow I still had a marriage, even though all I did was work. And I was like, this is not working. And so we can talk later about my solution and how I came out of that dark place. But on the topic of failures, another one is I'm like you. I love high quality production. I'm definitely a perfectionist. I've tried to overcome that in a lot of ways. I think I'm getting better at it. But at one point we had 8 full-time people, and it was all centered around creating this world-class content, just high quality content. Had a full-time audio guy, had a full-time video person, had a full-time writer, for show notes and podcasts and stuff, full-time community manager, full-time developer.
Even, yeah.
Yes. So like we're just putting out all this great content. 7 days a week. We had this podcast network. We were doing a 7-day-a-week video show. It was just crazy. Just all this content. Newsletters, social media, blog posts. And the entire time on the side, I'm having to go make money to pay everyone because it's just my personal decision not to put ads or sponsors on the content. That's just what I choose to do. I prefer to just give people the valuable content, and if they appreciate it, they can buy something from me. They can join my membership or whatever. But I didn't want to do the sponsor thing. So I mean, we've had millions of downloads, page views, all that stuff, but I didn't monetize that way. And I basically scaled something that wasn't working. It was a bucket of holes. And I hired more people. Hiring is scaling. Yeah. So I just had it's like Photoshop transformed the layer, I just had a bigger bucket of holes.
Yeah.
So the business model wasn't working. There was no business model. The business model was make amazing, valuable content that tons of people love and hope your bank account fills up. And it just didn't work. Yeah. And so I love all these people.
So on the side, you were making courses and launching courses, and they weren't helping on it.
And it's just like one-off course launches. It's not recurring revenue or anything. So you got this big spike of revenue that lasts for a few months. We had like tens and tens of thousands of dollars in payroll every month. And I'm just over here like trying to make money, and then I come back like make content, like make money, and like remember, I don't have friends, right? So like these people are my family. I'm like, I got to take care of you.
Yeah.
And so I just like did that treadmill for like years and just ran myself into the ground. And eventually I had to let people go.
So how do you still make content now? I know you're on sabbatical now, so it's a little different, but like last year, 2019, how were you able to manage still putting out content, still putting out quality things with less people involved, maybe less often?
Well, I eventually downsized down to one other person and like a half-time person. And so that took the load off financially. Mm-hmm. So I was way less stressed because we made money. We just didn't make tons of money automatically.
Yeah.
So we made enough money automatically to where like I could sustain that. So we basically reworked the whole business model and stopped selling, because I had like tons of courses. I just spent like 5 years just making these epic courses. And I just said, I'm tired of doing these launches where I just have to like internally, like, okay, we got to plan out this next campaign. I'm focused on this topic. Because that was another problem is like, unlike what a lot of people teach, which is a good idea, is have all of your products under like one umbrella, one topic, and they connect to each other and they upsell and downsell. I just had like random different topics that weren't exactly connected. So I just have to switch gears, and I was just overwhelmed. We would make great money when we did it. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put this all in one membership, have like a Netflix for business training, and it's just going to be a lot less stressful on me to sell one thing. So we spent like a year kind of reworking the business model, and we make less money, but I'm way less stressed.
And it's more predictable. And you don't have to rely on launches, and if a launch doesn't do well, but you can still make stuff for people, and they can still get the value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I hate to just like go into failures, but I think we know more about each other's failures because we've been in a mastermind group, and so maybe let's switch gears into that. I am also very introverted, and I like to just work by myself and like stay in a silo. And I do try to go to events when possible to kind of grow my network and meet more people. But for someone that's just like works at home by themselves all the time, maybe doesn't have a team, or they're doing it nights and weekends, like trying to make it work, how have you found the value of mastermind groups or like peers be helpful for you?
I think it's huge. One nice thing about running a community is I get to benefit from it as well. So I'm introverted, which means I'm kind of okay with the online thing, being a part of an online community. Like I'm satisfied with that. But I know for a lot of people who are extroverted, and by the way, you might look at me and be like, he's introverted, he looks really extroverted right now. And I do, because I'm extroverting. Like it's a weird thing where like the only time you see me is in content I'm creating where I'm putting myself out there. Like outside of that, I mean, if you follow all of my content, you probably see like 95% of all that I say. because the rest of the time I'm just quiet and I'm like recharging,
Yeah.
I get my energy by recharging, but other people get their energy by being around people. Right now, like I really am enjoying this. I think you can tell, but it takes energy from me. For some people, this kind of interaction with people and meetups and conferences, like that gives them energy. So communities online are great for me. I do kind of like to pepper in some in-person events, like, I don't know, maybe half a dozen a year. They don't all have to be conferences, but could be like little meetups and stuff. Those are huge. Like I think every level up that I've had in my business, I can somehow trace back to a relationship with a person that I met at a conference or a meetup.
And what did that person provide? Was it a conversation or like help you get through like a mental block or?
It could be a conversation, a way of thinking, a solution, a unique perspective, or connecting me to yet another person who has that. Or maybe like some kind of collaboration or like, you don't really like notice it so much, but when you're friends with people, they just kind of naturally share your stuff. And everyone wants that shout out from the influencer or the popular person, but you can't do that when they're already famous. Like the way to do that is to network at your level with peers who are like in a similar situation to you, provide value to them, befriend them, and then grow with them. And then eventually when their influence is higher, like you still know them.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're asking them just because they're famous.
Yeah. And I think that's like my advice for someone that wants to get like clients or something like that is go to a bunch of conferences, meet a bunch of people that are going to be successful, and then they'll hire you someday. Because that has been kind of what mine has been. It's like I went to World Domination Summit. I went to like New Media Expo. I went to all these different conferences and events when I was just getting started online and trying to run my own business. And then I was like, oh, I really like this video part of this job I have. Let's build a business just doing that for people. Who should I do it for? All these people I've met that have gone on to start software companies like ConvertKit or have popular blogs and websites and want YouTube content, or they're launching their own course and we can film that. So it's like, how do you get clients? It's like make friends for 5 years before you start your business.
Which
like,
sounds weird.
Yeah, but it's like you can start doing that stuff now and it can happen faster.
Yeah,
thankfully.
but you're like a living example of this can work, and you don't need 100 clients. You just need a few of the right clients, and it can work.
Looking over at like my business that I track each year, I have like a spreadsheet. It's like each client name and then like each product or like affiliate income from Amazon and like just, and then
80-20 all the way down.
But like going year to year, I have like less clients each year and I make more money because I am getting closer to what I'm best at and working more with the people that can afford me.
And can you tell me firsthand, do the best clients not pay you well?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Not micromanage. Like they actually want you to take care of everything.
Trust
like
you,
don't bother me,
yeah.
right? And then keep hiring you for more work.
Right. As opposed to clients that maybe take forever to pay you.
Negotiate you down.
Tons of revisions. Yeah, negotiate you down.
Micromanage, tell you how to do your job.
And then you never hear from them again.
So when I tell people,
or they go hire somebody else to do it the next time, kind of thing. Yeah.
When I teach how to work with clients, how to find clients, how to get great clients, how to get clients who are going to pay you a lot, like what you're worth, everyone thinks like this doesn't work because of anecdotal experience, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you're talking about bad clients. Most clients are not great clients by definition, right? Because if they're common, they're not great, right? So a few clients are great, a small percentage are great, most are not. And so if you haven't had an experience with a great client, it's really easy to believe they don't exist. And you say, my client would never go for that. My client would never say this. And it's like, yeah, you've got to stop saying yes to those clients. Start saying no to the bad clients so that you're freed up and able to say yes to great clients. But the reason you don't is because you're worried about that money. Like it's that scarcity mindset. Like I need this money. I can't say no. I know they're a bad client. I know they're not going to pay on time, but eventually, if I chase them enough, they will. Eventually, I know they're going to tell me how to do my work. I know I hate my life, but that sweet, sweet money.
You just threw in that, I know I hate my life. That was like a serious statement in there. But yeah, I think that I still do that where I'm like, okay, well, if we don't get hired for this project, yeah, it's going to take a week or two, and maybe knowing this person, it might like drag on or whatever, but like we need that $4,000. Like, because if we don't have that $4,000, like that's X number of weeks of payroll, and it's like, but what's the opportunity cost of saying yes to
everything?
That? Yeah.
Everything. And it's so hard to understand that when you haven't experienced it. But that's the solution to getting out of scarcity mindset, is thinking in terms of abundance before you're there. You have to think with an abundance mindset while you're in circumstantial scarcity. That's the only way out, because scarcity mindset only begets more of the same. It just brings about more scarcity mindset. So you can't keep thinking in terms of scarcity. What does scarcity mean? That means you lack resources. You're in the desert. You don't have water. Water is scarce. What are you going to do for that water? If it's been a couple days, you'll do just about anything, things that you wouldn't have normally done. That's how it gets with clients. And so this is, man, it is so hard to get this, because as I say this, I know, because I've talked to hundreds of people, I know what's going through their minds. I know that they're going to reject this, right? But I still have to tell you the right answer. And all I'm going to do is just tell you again and again and again until the seventh time it clicks, right? But there's something about eating dirt on your own terms. It's not fun. It's not pleasant. But when you choose to eat dirt and like tough it out and do things the way you want to do them, it's just different versus like being forced to eat dirt. You take on that client and then it sucks. Man, your life is miserable. Like you really do feel like you hate your life, but at least you got that, $400, that $4,000, you can make it to the next terrible client. You've got to break that chain. You got to break it proactively by saying no. Say no when you need that money. Say no when you don't know where the money's going to come from next. Well, that's not responsible. I'm trying to be responsible. Responsible, like many things, is a relative term, and it depends on your zoom lens. What are you looking at? You're looking at the immediate. And you can kind of construe this as being like, I'm being responsible right now in the most immediate terms. Like I'm trying to get that money in my bank by working with the terrible client. But look in the long term. How responsible is it to put yourself in a place where you hate your life every day and you're taking on these bad clients and you're missing out on all this great opportunity? And eventually you burn yourself out. You lose your passion. You no longer want to do that thing that got you into the game. Like, how responsible is that?
Yeah, it makes me think of, I heard that you need to have three things, or you can have three things when you take on a client project. You can get experience, you can get something for your portfolio, or you can get money. If you get all three, great, but you need at least two. If something's only giving you one, do not do it. If it's someone that you don't want to work with, the thing you're going to do is not good for your portfolio and you're just doing it for money, you probably shouldn't take that thing. You should at least get some sort of experience or really like the person, like have fun doing it, or build up your portfolio or get paid. Ideally three, but most of my projects I would say are two. And most of the work that I do now is filming online courses for people. And I'm not going to like build some crazy highlight reel of like people teaching things to a camera, because that's mainly what I'm doing now. But I enjoy the people that I work with. I get paid well, and that's enough for me to move on. So if you're not getting at least two of those three things for whether that's a client project or maybe a digital thing you're doing, like if you dread doing it and you don't want to be known for that thing, you're just doing it for the money, that's the problem.
Burnout's in your future.
Yeah, for sure.
If that's where you're at, burnout is in your future. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, that's great for Sean. He can say no to the terrible clients. Must be a nice place to be. You have to create that reality for yourself before it exists. You have to say no when you don't know where the next job is coming from. Now, I realize how this sounds. It sounds crazy. Sounds like nice for you. Can't be that way for all of us. So that's why I wrote the book on how to do it. Like the way you do that, the only way you can say no to potential income is by not needing the income. Well, how can you not need the income? By having something that covers your bills.
Yeah.
You have the thing, call it the day job, that covers your bills 100% while you pursue the thing that you're passionate about on the side. And you pursue that passion in a selective fashion. That wasn't supposed to rhyme, but we'll go with it. Like, I'm going to work with the clients I want to work with. I'm going to take on the great jobs and nothing else. And however long this takes to become sustainable, I'm committed, but I'm not going to compromise on that. Because I know bad clients don't lead to great clients. Bad clients lead to more bad clients.
Yeah.
And you've seen it. Great clients lead to more great clients. So it's not like eventually, so many people think eventually this works out. I'm gonna take on the terrible jobs and eventually I'll get the good jobs. It's like two opposite directions on a road. You just have to choose. At some point, make the 180 and start heading in the other direction.
Was you working so much and burning out part of wanting to go on a sabbatical, or is the sabbatical something you've been wanting to do for a while now?
No, the sabbatical was a solution. So I was watching a TED Talk by a guy who was talking about taking off every 7th year.
Okay.
And so someone right now might be watching me on this podcast. I'm on a sabbatical year right now. I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. I'm doing this because I want to, because I'm in town. I'm doing everything just because I want to. Where do we want to go next? What city? Total freedom.
And you're able to do that because
I have a business.
A business that's
Yep.
paying you a salary that
Still
you've
pays
built
me
over
salary. Yeah, over
7 plus 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I was inspired by that. I was like, that's really cool. However, I can't just take a year off right now. I wasn't in that kind of position. I'm like, I need something smaller scale. How about just play on numbers? I take off every 7th week. Because I'm just like, obviously, obsessive, like all on or all off. I'm just like, work mode or not work, right? So I'm like, how do I not work? How do I go all in on not working? And that's what led me to this sabbatical idea. So in 2014, I said, all right, I'm going to take off every 7th week. I'll work 6 weeks and then take a week off. And that was so game changing. I kept doing it. And I started paying my employees. Right now, they're taking off a sabbatical week, and they're paid to do it. It's their job, and it was so awesome. It's been so game changing for me. I came back to that original inspiration. I said, that whole 7th year thing, I'm going to do that too, and that's 2020.
So did you decide that back in 2013 or 2014?
Not till like 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you were like, oh, I've been doing this for a couple of years, so this is the 7th year of this business.
Yeah, it's like I saw such great results because people think like, okay, that's cool. You rest. Maybe you don't get as much work done in the big picture, but I'm like, no, we get more work done in the big picture because we take 7 weeks worth of work, and there's studies of employees, they get like 2 or 3 hours of work done a day. And even if you're like really disciplined, here's the thing, I track my time ruthlessly. Like I've got software and stuff, and I'm a hard worker. I'm prolific. I'm cranking stuff out, and I waste a ridiculous amount of time. So I know everyone's wasting time.
What do you track it with, and what do you waste your time doing?
Rescue time,
Okay.
free.
So that's on your Mac, right?
Yep. Desktop.
Yep.
That's totally free. And then now more recently, screen time on
iOS.
Yeah. What was the second question?
What do you waste your time doing? Or is it things that like feel like work or like just...
Oh, so no, it's not. It's not. Although that too. So for 2 years, I was when I was burned out and depressed, I just went all in on video games. I was top 8% Overwatch player. So like obsessed, right? I quit that. I'm like 400 days clean or something.
Cold
like
turkey.
Yeah, exactly. But like that was, not even that insane. Like an hour and a half a night. It's probably what people spend on TV, but still I was looking at the hours adding up and it was like 1,000 hours in 2 years.
Yeah. So I have a lot of video games in my past as well. I think it was as an escape mainly.
Yeah.
Because school was never that hard for me. I got good grades. I played sports and stuff, but like I enjoy video games. I love playing them. I like competing. I like learning the new game and all that kind of stuff. But I think it was mainly an escape once I got to college and then graduated college, and it was just like my free time I would fill with video games, whether it's listening to a podcast about video games as I'm on my way to work or during lunch, like watching StarCraft matches. Or
I forget about that. Is like I would watch the Twitch streamers and the YouTube videos about the game as well.
When you're not playing the game.
Yeah, so it is even more time than I realized, but it also gave me this, when I was in a really low place, which if people want that whole story, 380, episode 380 of the SeanWes podcast, I talk about that depression. But that gave me like a sense of winning, even if it was like a variable casino style, like sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It fed my addiction. And
gaming does feel like gambling a little bit sometimes. Like I got into a huge poker phase from like junior year of high school to maybe sophomore year of college, right at the peak of like Poker Stars and Chris Moneymaker and like all this. And like I would play 4 to 6 tables at a time in my dorm room with my dorm roommate between every class. And like the highs and lows of like running up and down the hall of the dorm after you like win $100 hand or whatever. And then like being in class, like just losing money instead of paying attention. Like that's totally an addiction. But I feel like video games also becomes that if it's not in a healthy like relationship.
Totally.
And
I saw
World of Warcraft. I hit 1,000 hours at one point in that in college, and I never logged in again because once it was like something that clicks. It's like people that hit a certain weight on a scale. Like if you hit 200 or 300 or 400, and they're like, that's what it was. Like I just needed one number to be like, that's not me.
You're a numbers guy.
Yeah,
I can relate.
Yeah.
A good follow on Twitter or anywhere, Naval Ravikant, or he has a great.
I binged his whole podcast. Yeah, Naval, Naval.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a good Joe Rogan episode as well. He tweeted something, always great stuff. But there was a response to his tweet that really stood out to me. Still like thinking about it. I don't know, evaluating, but like, tell me what you think. It said something along the lines of like, you never, I'm going to totally butcher it, but it was like, kind of like you're always addicted. Like you never completely lose the addiction. It just changes forms.
You find a new one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would say business or like running my own business is what took that.
So you buy that then?
Yeah, I think so.
Because for me, like with the games and stuff, like I'm going to be, probably has something to do with being the oldest of 13 kids, but I'm like, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to be the best.
Yeah.
The entrepreneur thing, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire, like I just went all in on that. I was like, business, and then I got burned out and got depressed. I'm like, all right, video games, competitive, like ridiculous. But I was actually able to channel that into what I think is, let's say, a healthy obsession, which is my Apple Watch. So I'm on day like 550 or something of closing the 3 rings on my Apple Watch every day in a row. Like I find that some people aren't, but for me, I'm really susceptible to gamification.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I figured, hey, this is a good way to like channel that because I get the badges, I get the awards, I get the streaks, but it's in a way that's actually good for me, good for my health.
Yeah, I think we're wired that way with dopamine and everything. And I think a lot of people are getting that from social media. Maybe they can tweet something funny, they get the likes, they get the comments, they get the follows or reshares or what have you. You get it from video games, the leveling up, like your character like glows and you like get new skills and you can unlock things. And like the real world just isn't like that most of the time. I mean, unless you are gamifying it yourself. So like when you run your business, you kind of have to find a way to like do gamification if that's how you're running.
Do you find that it's not enough that, I don't know, to me, business kind of has the gamification built in, except like, except the gold coins are real. That's why I kind of got obsessed.
Yeah, I mean, I wish the gold coins in World of Warcraft were real because I had a lot of those. But yeah, I guess it is, but it's also not like, it doesn't like feel the same. Just because of how visual
it's the sounds
and the sounds
the sonic ring sound.
Like if I went into the bank and I like leveled up as a businessman and I got like a nicer suit and like that's somebody make that game. But that's kind of how I feel about it. But that's interesting, having an addiction that it just doesn't go away, you just replace it.
I'm still thinking about that one,
Yeah.
but I can't say that. Can't say I've proved it wrong.
I mean, it's similar with what James Clear talks about with like the best way to stop a bad habit is to replace it with a better one, or best way to add a habit is to add it onto an existing one. So if you want to floss every day, like what else do you do every day? Do you eat breakfast every day? Do it right after, or adding any habit onto an existing habit is the best way to keep it. So with an addiction, the best way is probably to replace it with something. But video games are still really fun. I don't own them anymore. That's like the
environment piece.
Yeah, changing the environment.
Not
so
keeping the
it's hard to
snacks
do
at
it.
eye level in the cabinet.
Right, exactly. And that plays a big role of just not having games on your computer, not owning the systems. Like I owned every system from basically Atari to like PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and I have not owned this generation. And it's been like a long cycle. I think they're like 5-6 years long this time. And it's like that's how long I haven't played video games.
You
like,
growed up, Caleb.
I did. I grew up. But I've put in my 10,000 hours in video games, so I've Malcolm Gladwell out of video games. Let's talk a little bit more about sabbatical, and then we can kind of close up here. What's it like for a former workaholic to not be working at the capacity as you were before? Now you do things you want to do, like come here, record a podcast, go to different cities. You're going to still go to events. You're still writing and documenting the time off and other things you're working on. But I love working a lot. And I never would have thought that, just like I never would have thought I liked reading when I was in high school because they forced me to read books I didn't want to read. But once I started reading what I wanted to read, I enjoyed it. And now I'm working on things I enjoy and I like it. So for someone that likes to work a lot, taking a year off seems daunting.
Yes.
As well as even just taking time off when my daughter was born, like your worth is tied to what you do and the work that you do, or like you think you're letting other people down by not like continuing to make content or reply to their email or what have you. So how has the sabbatical been a month in so far? I know you're kind of just getting started and getting your legs under you, but is it hard?
The worth thing it's really big, especially for a workaholic. But I think a lot of us, especially in the Western world, just the way conversations go, what do you do? That's basically like who you are, in a sense. Like you're not what you do. You're not the results of what you do, but it's really hard to bifurcate those two things. So just to kind of like bridge, so the sabbatical weeks, the 7th week sabbaticals were really big for me. And like that kind of got me back on the right track. Like I don't work weekends. I eventually got to the point where I shifted my schedule to, I was stopping work at 5 p.m., which sounds like a huge deal. I mean, sounds ridiculous, but to me it was a big deal. Yeah. Because I would work till 9, 10, 11 p.m. So I decided, okay, why do I work so late anyway? And it's like, well, there's always more work to do. Any business owner knows that. And I thought, wait a second, this makes no sense. There's always more work to do. I never get all of it done. There's always more for tomorrow. So why don't I choose when I want to end my day? So I said, okay, I don't feel like I can do this because there's so much work to do, but I'm just going to stop at 5 p.m. And it helped to have also a thing that I was going to do at 5 p.m., which I decided would be, I came up with this idea of mini dates with my wife. So it would just be like 30 minutes, just talk, just time to converse. And we eventually turned that into a walk. So we walk and we talk, it's exercise, it's great. But I have this thing that I have to do at 5, which allowed me to finish work. And when that's how much time you have, things take the amount of time you give them.
Right.
Just like with 7 weeks worth of work, we just get that done in 6 weeks. So I'm finally closing the loop on earlier. I was talking about productivity and wasting time. We got into games. What I meant was I waste time and I'm prolific. So I know you waste time. And all we have to do is take 7 weeks worth of work, get it done in 6. You free up a week. You go recharge, you pursue secondary passions, and then you come back with this burst of energy. Overall, you've got a net win in productivity, right? So similarly, 5 p.m., that's when my day ends. I got to go on a walk with my wife. So that's how much time I have. I got all the work done. Like, this is pretty cool. What if I stop my day at 3 p.m.? Got all my work done. So I kind of shifted to an early schedule. I was getting up at like 4:30 or whatever, and I would exercise and I would write and stuff. But I don't know, I would start work by like 8 p.m. or something, and then, 8 a.m. and then get off at 3 p.m. So I actually did get back to a really healthy place before this sabbatical year. But so far, this officially kicked off. We moved out of our house January 30th. I wanted to start like clean, like January 1st. It's so perfect because I'm a numbers guy. And it didn't work out. Our lease was up at the end of the month. So, we're a couple weeks in, and it still hasn't quite hit me. It kind of feels like we're on a trip. Like, yeah, we'll go home. No, there's no house. There's no house to go back to. At some point, that's going to hit me. But it's been refreshing. So on the work topic, here's the beauty of the sabbatical. So when people first hear about this, they're like, that sounds totally boring. What do you just stare at a white wall? Like, you just don't do anything?
No, just for the first 3 months you do that. And then no.
What does it look like to not work? How do I not work? It's like not being, But the beauty is, I've discovered that rest equals freedom from obligation. There is not one particular activity or set of given activities that is in and of themselves or inherently restful, like going to the spa or taking a walk on the beach or reading a book. Like, those are great activities. But you've been in school where you were given an assignment to read a book and write a report on it, and it probably sucked because you had to do it. And so it's having to do things, being obligated to do things, that negates the restful property of that activity. And it can be the same exact activity. The difference is when you choose to do something, it actually gives you energy. When you have to do something, it takes energy. It's like a meeting that's on your schedule that was just put there a long time ago by that horrible person called past you, versus like, hey, I want to go to Caleb's house and hang out and record a podcast. The energy, you can tell the energy feels completely different to like, where did this meeting, this call come from? And you have to do it.
Yeah. And I think it's very important to pay attention to future you and to be kind to them. It's easy to hate past you for what they did and why they scheduled something, but it's really hard to say no sometimes to things. And it's really easy to say, I don't have time for that right now. Let's talk in like a couple weeks. But then in a couple weeks, it's now, and you're not going to want to do that thing. So if you gut check yourself and you like don't want to do it now, like if you don't want to do that thing today, you probably don't ever want to do it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Like the energy is just so different when you choose to do a thing. So like just closing the loop on the work thing. It's not that there's no arbitrary like rule about the sabbatical that says you can't work. What is work? I mean, some people knit and that's their work. Some people write and that's their work. Some people write and that's their hobby. What's the difference? The difference is whether you have to do it or you choose to do it. There is no activity that is inherently work or inherently rest. It's all about choice. It's all about freedom from obligation. So I have, and I've insisted on, and I've set it up this way, total freedom from obligation.
Even scheduling this.
Yes.
You were like, well, I can't technically schedule anything on sabbatical. Sounds great. When we're a couple days away, let's text about it.
We talked like 2 nights ago, and we're like, do you want to do it tomorrow? And you're like, we could, or we do it the next. So we did it today. But like this just happened.
Flexibility, yeah.
But if you enjoyed any part of this interview, it was as a result of that process, because I'm in a place where I get to do whatever I want. If I want to vlog myself, which right now I'm doing that. Like I'm having a ton of fun documenting. Like if you want to see what it looks like for a recovering workaholic to just take a year off and travel, I'm documenting that at sabbatical.blog. And right now I'm like vlogging. And so, you can see on my Instagram stories, like, here's me editing this video on an iPad. And I got a message last night. I get comments and stuff from people, that doesn't look like a sabbatical. I'm like, here's the beauty about a sabbatical. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And because I want to do this right now, it feels great. Like I'm enjoying the creative expression that is storytelling through video editing right now. And if I don't want to do it tomorrow, I don't have to.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same thing. Some people might go do something for a vacation and they're like, that's not a vacation. Like you're working, or you're like doing this like really strenuous thing, versus my vacation is going and sitting on a beach, and like you can only do that for so long. So a year sabbatical at some resort in Mexico or Bora Bora or wherever, you could probably do that for a while, but like you just gets bored. He's like, I have to do something. And it's like whatever that something is probably what you should be doing during your vacations.
People have a hard time imagining that because they've never been in a place where they could experience it. So they think, well, I would just want to sit on a beach for a year. It's like, actually, you would get bored. You know, you'd want to work on things. You'd want to create, you know, that it will actually give you energy.
Yeah, and I see that with maybe people that don't want to retire or never think about retiring because they still love what they're doing, versus people that like cannot wait to retire because they've spent their life doing work they hate or don't want to do. And so they're like, when I retire, then I'm going to go do the thing I want to do. And my wife and I, we've been trying to do the opposite, where it's like, we kind of do the sabbaticals differently. We've tried the like every 7 weeks just with me and Tim and our business, and just like sometimes the scheduling with shoots and stuff, it just started to not line up very well. So what we tend to do is take 1 month off every year. I think we've only skipped like 1 year in the past like 5 or 6 years. And that 1 month this last year was, we had a baby and I was at home. So that's not a sabbatical. Like, you know, that's not like time off.
No.
But we've gone to other countries and I try to take it 99% off. Like check email, make sure there's no fires, no clients like need something, or I'm going to like schedule something when I get back, but take that 1 month completely off. And that's just maybe different than what other people can do. And it's like, well, do you get 2 weeks vacation and 2 weeks of sick leave a year? What if you saved it all year and used it all at the same time? Then you could have this kind of experience.
You could, but you don't even need that, because I wanted a way for, like, most people are like, great, my job isn't going to let me take off every seventh week.
Right.
So what you can do if you have a day job is take, it's a weekend sabbatical. So once a month, and you have to block this off. It's not going to happen. You have to make the time. Just block off the last weekend of the month. And I've heard all the versions like, well, I work weekend. That's fine. It can be Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Pick any 2 days, whatever your weekend is. You block off the last weekend of the month. That is your sabbatical weekend. Don't say yes to anything. Don't plan anything. Don't fill up the calendar or the schedule. Just block that off. Embrace the nothingness. Just go into that. And again, doesn't mean you have to just spend the whole time staring at a white wall.
Right.
It means when you're in that space, like me in my sabbatical year, you have the freedom to say yes to anything in the moment. And that is just going to be incredible, including doing nothing. It's just beautiful. That's a gift you can give to yourself, to your future self. You don't need to be an entrepreneur. You don't need a job that'll give you a week off every 7th week. You give this to yourself. You've got your weekend. So just block one of them off a month right now. You can do this while you're listening to this podcast. Pull your phone out, go to your calendar app. Like, do this with me. Open your calendar app. You're doing it, right? Calendar app.
I'm not. I'm sitting here present. I'm
Caleb,
trying to.
You're ruining this. Press the little plus icon, create a new event, type sabbatical weekend or whatever, SABBATICAL. Okay, then schedule it to repeat every month. So it's Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, Tuesday, whatever you have to do. Set it to repeat every month, all day. Create. Great. You just gave a gift to yourself. Now, your only job is don't schedule anything for that time. You'd be effectively double booking yourself. You're booked. You're booked for a sabbatical, right? So it's scheduled nothingness. You get there, you can do whatever you want. You want to watch Netflix? Fine. You want to draw? Fine. You want to watch a documentary? Fine. You want to play video games? Fine. Record a podcast? Go get coffee with a friend? Anything. It's just going to give you energy. It's so awesome.
I think that's a perfect way to end this conversation. So where can people find, like your podcast especially has been very instrumental for me mentally. I go on a lot of walks with my dog, and like you were there for most of them for many years, just consuming what you've talked about. So where can people find your podcast, as well as maybe what social media platforms you're most using now, as well as the sabbatical information?
Yeah, so SeanWes.com, it's SeanWes.com/podcast. You can find that there or on various platforms. At SeanWes, Instagram, Twitter, places like that. And then if you want to follow like my sabbatical journey, just sabbatical.blog. There's also a YouTube channel for that, which you can find on sabbatical.blog.
Perfect. Well, Sean, I could talk to you for hours. I feel like we've already talked for over an hour.
Thanks for letting us go long.
Yeah, and then there'll be a conversation on your podcast as well.
Yeah, check that out. So we're going to interview Caleb on my podcast, so go look for that.
Thanks, Sean.